Welcome to Rising Tides, the business podcast where we explore how leading ladies across industries make waves and rise above the competition. Join host Angela Merzip and myself, Kim Hayden, as we talk to inspiring business women from entrepreneurs to executives about the strategies and tactics they use to get ahead. From their failures to their successes, you'll get an inside look at what it takes to make it in the business world today. Together, let's discover the power of collaboration and how raising each other up can help us all reach the heights of success. So dive in and join the conversation.
Hey, Angela.
Hey, Kim. What's going on?
Oh, just working like crazy. It's been a great week. It's been a busy week. How about yourself?
Yeah, same here. Same here. Putting some final touches on a client's brand. So excited to launch that soon.
Oh, awesome. You ever do a
Yeah.
pitch at the 11th hour? You know you have to be somewhere. You've calculated your time backwards because you're so stinking busy. You're running like crazy. You know that you need to get that final document. You're going to do. Do you ever work on that the 4 hours before you go, and then you're just running like crazy? Or is that just me?
No. Anytime I need to make a presentation, I'm always like at the last minute, I have a new idea. I have to insert this new idea or change this. And I'm working on my presentation literally to the last minute, which is
Okay.
nerve-wracking.
Thank you. Thank you. I thought that was my ADHD at play. I thought seriously, Angela's probably got hers done and in a folder and it's collated. Everything's ready to go like 3 days prior.
Mostly, but I always have ideas. I always have more ideas. I can't make them stop. So
I get it. And ideas are awesome. Ideas. And that, I'll tell you, that is why I'm really excited to see what you're going to dig up here today. This gal stands out. First of all, I want to do a huge shout out. If you want to be a podcast guest and you are sent an intake form, please do fill it out in its entirety. Our next guest, bless her soul, this woman rocked it and crushed it. So you're going to see a great podcast today. Sharon Zehavi. I don't know if I said that correctly, so we're going to find out. Sharon Zehavi is an award-winning speaker and international branding and marketing strategist. She is the creator of Sex Up Your Brand, supporting small business owners to gain exposure and grow their outreach using organic strategies. And she is a co-founder of the 360 Startup Partners. This one's really got me fascinated. The 360 Startup Partners, helping early stage startups with their investors and user acquisitions. Angela promised me we're going to talk about that too, because that's piquing my interest big time. Sharon, get this, is the best-selling author, TV host, and producer, a master speaker coach. She has coached hundreds of international speakers for multiple professional stages and is a well-known female empowerment motivational speaker herself. So let's get her in here. I wish you guys could see. I've got goosebumps. I'm excited because there is so much I can learn, and this could be a 4-hour podcast, but we're going to work hard to respect everybody's time and keep it in that 35 to 40-minute range. Welcome, Sharon.
Thank you,
welcome.
Kim. And hi, Angela. How you doing, guys?
Hi. Did we get your last name right? Is it Zehavi?
Yes, it's Zehavi.
Zehavi. That's beautiful. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Wow.
I was close. That's the way the Kansans say it.
It's okay. I mess up people's names all the time. It's embarrassing. So I totally understand. Don't worry about it.
Awesome. I always blame it on my hillbilly.
Perfect. As long as you can blame it on something, I think we're good.
As long as you try, Kim. Everyone just appreciates the effort, I think.
Absolutely. We like to... Sorry, go ahead, Angela.
No. I was just going to say, I'm super excited to talk to you, Sharon. So go ahead. Finish your thought, Kim.
We always like to start out with a funny story or a personal story and just knowing the name of your marketing of Sex Up Your Brand. Yeah. Like, I know that you probably have quite the personality behind you. So there's probably a lot of stories you can pick from. But if you could just break the ice, pretend we're at one of those speed networking, give us a break the ice, cool, funny, engaging Sharon story.
My gosh. I feel like there are so many. It's going to take me just like 5 minutes to choose my favorite one or the weirdest one or the silliest one. But since you were wondering about the name of my company, I think that would be an interesting story to talk about. And I think you could also relate to it in many ways. So when I started this sort of like consulting company, I transitioned from owning a studio and I was working with a lot of different clients focused on services. I got myself a coach and I was trying to see, how I can expand it further and helping more and more organizations and so on. And he was talking to me about different things and different angles and so on. And then I kind of asked him at some point because he had a lot of personality too. He was like very interesting, was talking really big, which I always felt is something I had to dial down because I hear it all the time. Oh my gosh, Sharon, you're so much. It's too much energy, too much this, too much that. You're so direct. I even had in some events, people come to me like men, sort of like flirting with me. And when I like flirt back pretty aggressively, because I kind of shut them down like that really well, they sort of like get like weirded out. And I was almost like, am I putting out some kind of a weird energy that is too sexy, too much, too loud? So I asked him because he had a big personality too. And I was like, do you feel that in order to be taken seriously, I need to dial it down? And he said, hell no. He's like, don't ever dial down anything for anyone. He said, whatever you are, own it. And if they can't handle it, their problem. And it's most likely the people that you shouldn't be working with anyway. So we sort of like decided that instead of just dialing it down, we came up with Sex Up Your Brand so that you can really own this sort of like be yourself, be confident, be sexy, be who you want to be, because confidence is the most attractive thing anyway. And that's how you're going to attract the people that you want to work with. So to me, this was like a real beautiful pivoting moment because I finally got permission to just be without having to worry what other people might be thinking about me. And I know as women, we all know that we always get somebody telling us what we shouldn't be doing. And how we shouldn't be, and how this is too much, and you're too loud, and you're, you're too big, you're too small, you're too tall, you're talking about your children too much, you're working too hard. There's always something. So I love the moment when he was like, those who have something to say about you, they're not ready for you. So just own it and be who you are. And to me, this is the message that I send out to all of my clients when they want to, sex up their brand.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. I love that. Yeah. I love that background story. And yeah, confidence is attractive. And I love that you said, you got the permission to, you're thinking about it, but you needed that person to be like, yeah, go for it. Right. I think that's what we do for clients that come to us.
Because I think when you get advice from the wrong people, what you're actually getting is an insight to their fears, their concerns, their limiting beliefs, and not real advice. Even if they love you and care about you, they don't know to tap into this like source where they can give you real advice without their fears. So when you find someone who really recognize your potential and is not afraid of you holding back or failing or anything, because they know how much more you can do if you just go for it, I think it's extremely powerful. And that's the reason why if you find a coach that can really understand you and you have really good dynamic, it's priceless. It's a relationship that even if you don't, work with them forever, it doesn't go away because they understand you. I mean, I still connect with my coach, even though I don't work with him all the time. He's in my network, and anything he has to say, I'm always like, yes, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I understand. I think it's important to surround yourself with people who truly support your growth.
Totally. We all need those champions, those cheerleaders. I learned this lesson I remember choosing baby names for my kiddo. And I remember any book or topic I read about that said, don't share your names with anybody. They're just going to crap all over it or and then it'll taint your view of this name. They'll tell you the horrible stories or the horrible people they know. And it's kind of like, I took that for business advice too. It's like, when you have an idea, be careful of who you share that with. Be careful of who you share your dreams with, and don't share too much with too many people. You need to be confident in yourself and your direction, your vision, your goals, and talk to the right people.
I agree.
Right.
I think that a really good way of recognizing if somebody is a supportive type, or right, maybe you can say it like a fearful type, is if they immediately say, "Oh, okay, well, that sounds hard. How are you planning to do
Right.
that?" That's not a good person to share any ideas with. Even if you love them and they love you, just trust me on that. It's an instinct that you don't want to be around. You want to find the person who will say, no matter how crazy your idea might be, they say, "Okay, so how are we going to make that happen?"
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think what you said before, they are projecting their own fears because they don't believe they could do something like that. So they project that, they mirror that onto you. So that's not what you want. Awesome. Well, we talked about your business name, which is amazing, by the way. I love that you just leaned into that you had that aha moment and that you're just going for it. That's great. So in your business, tell me, if you could be remembered for one thing in your business when you're working with your clients, what would that be?
It's such an amazing question with perfect timing, because I just got a message from a client on my LinkedIn, I don't know, like maybe an hour ago, when she said to me, I'm probably quoting it wrong, but it was something like, "You'll never know how much confidence you gave us." And that was such a powerful change for them. And I screenshot it, because to me, that's the essence of everything that I do with every client, with every business. It's giving them that confidence to go for what they want to go for and achieve what they want to achieve and build what they want to build, no matter what it is. So I work with businesses, I work with speakers, I work with individuals, I work with startups. They all have a different vision, and a lot of them want to make the world a better place in one way or another. And to me, the way I make the world a better place is giving them that confidence that they can, and we'll figure out a way to do that. So if I were to remember in any one specific way, I would love to be that inspirational person that gave people the confidence to make a difference.
That's awesome. Confidence is contagious, right? If you're confident, you pass it on to those you work with. I love it.
It's true.
Love it.
I will tell you, I get, confidence, credibility, and relevancy are the three things that really strike at the heart, right? Those are the three things I think most women really struggle with. Am I relevant? Do people see me as credible?
Often, which is the problem. That's why we struggle with it.
Yep. And that's why confidence is so critical. That's the top of that mountain. And if you can have confidence, you know that you're credible and that you are relevant.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. So I want to dig into some meat here that some of our viewers can take away with them. We always love to pick our experts' brains and ask them to give us just some tidbits that our viewers can take away with them. So I know you talk on your website that you help clients attract opportunities organically in your marketing. So I would love to hear a bit about that. But I would love to hear about, why do clients come to you? What do they struggle with? And what do you see as their biggest struggle when it comes to branding and marketing? What are they coming to you with? And what is their perceived need? And what do you help them realize is their actual need?
That's so many questions. My memory is not good. I'll do my best. the biggest sort of like mistake or obstacle that I often see with people that come to me is that they're overwhelmed with different types of advice that different people are putting out there, especially, on social media and different places, just to attract like leads. So it's partial advice, and it's sometimes focused in a specific strategy that they utilize, and they always talk about it like as if that is the strategy and you must do it, and if you don't do it you will fail. And so the biggest issue that I see when people come to me is that they come to me with a mess of it's like a collection of ideas, of unclear thoughts, of unfinished strategies, and they're just like, I tried all of it, I don't know what to do. And it's almost like the first thing we need to do is this kind of like clear the table of all of these strategies and take a step back to their foundation, to what they are like, to what they're good at, to who they want to work with. And the mistake is they don't know that well enough. They don't know who they are, or how people perceive them, or what kind of image they want to put out there, or who they want to attract. They don't know. And naturally, when you don't know who you want to attract, you will attract all the wrong people or nothing, because you're directing your strategy to the empty space of the universe that is loaded with advertisement. And we all see it. We all get billions of messages, billions of ads, billions of, who knows, emails and weird things that we just shut off. And it might be extremely relevant to us, but we'll never know because we're tired of them. So unless people know to be very clear and focused and authentic, they'll never be able to get the attention from those who really, that they're looking for them. Those who are looking for them, and they just don't know that it's them yet. So I guess if I were to turn it into some kind of an advice, is that there are a lot of strategies. They can all work in one way or another, but your job as a business owner, or even as a person who's trying to promote themselves, like in the general space, you need to recognize what works for you and what works with your personality. And you need to stay focused and know who you are. Because with too many gaps, these strategies, they'll never work. You'll always come back and be like, I did try Facebook ads. It doesn't work. I did try funnels, but they suck. They don't suck. The strategy is fine. The execution needs to be different. It's never the what you need to do that is the issue. It's how you do it. Because that's why everybody's giving you a tip about the what. Do this, do that. That's easy. How you do it to work for you, that's the challenge.
Exactly. I totally agree. So, clearing the table and working on the foundation is the key, right? And I see this a lot too. We don't focus on that. We want to run to tactics because tactics feel tangible to us. It's something we can touch and hold, kind of, Facebook ads or a website or whatever it is. But we don't know what we're doing, like what you said.
Being sold that way, right? This kind of like, I did this and I got 100,000 a month, and I did this and I got 20 clients in one day. These numbers are great, but the reason why I focus on organic attraction, kind of like the way I call it, organic marketing, the idea is we don't have to spend a lot of money. And a lot of our resources, really, time, energy, or money, to these different ways where we think are the solution, whether if there's tools or structures or funnels or ads or whatever it is. We don't actually need it if we are able to naturally attract those who are the right fit for us. And I'm not just talking about clients. I'm actually also talking about partnerships or sponsors or followers, if that's what you're after, or even investors, which is what I do with my 360 company. The attraction is similar. We're all people and we're all looking for the perfect match. But we need to be able to demonstrate that to others so they know to recognize us as their perfect match.
There's definitely a pull aspect and a push aspect with marketing and branding, right? The branding needs to be set up to be that pull towards us to attract the right clients and partners and repel the wrong ones, right? And the marketing is like the ask, but most people start with the ask, and there's no basis for why I would want to work with you.
I can give you a great
Go for it.
example. If I were to reach out to you without my background, without my cool company name, without the stuff that you may have seen about me or what I've accomplished or who knows what, and I would be like, hey, put me on your podcast. Would you be like, yes, absolutely. I'm sure it's going to be fun, or I'm sure she sounds like a great expert, or it's going to be a great conversation? No, you're going to be saying, maybe we'll see. I don't know. Maybe let's chat with her first. I'm not even sure. And it even depends if you feel like I'm the right fit for your audience. But my job as a person who's in charge of my foundation is to show you what I stand for, what I care about, who are the people that I talk to, why I would be a good fit for you. Even if I am doing the active outreach to you, my foundation needs to be solid. So I'm not some kind of a person that needs to wait for a conversation to prove her worth, but that my foundation speaks for my values, because that's why people are attracted to other people.
Totally. It's like your reputation precedes you, right? And that's what branding is. It's your reputation out there, your proof points. So let me ask you this. So you've taken a client through, you've cleared all the garbage out, you've built the foundation for them, which is their brand, their understanding who they are, who they're serving, what they're good at, and all that. And now we're at the marketing stage, let's say. What kinds of things can people do to market organically without wasting time, energy, or money, like you say on your website? What kinds of ideas can you give to people listening?
It kind of depends on their comfort level and what their best skill sets are, because part of the idea of being authentic is to not try to pretend to be someone you're not, which means somebody who's really uncomfortable on camera maybe, or they're not good in this sort of like immediate conversation. Maybe I won't put them on social media because it will be awkward and uncomfortable and therefore not very attractive. But maybe we can leverage different ideas, different options, like publishing a book or being on a panel where it's more conversational, or doing a podcast like it's more conversational, because it's not like you talking to the empty space of the computer and hoping that somebody listens, because that's not a skill a lot of people are comfortable even acquiring. So what I often recommend is that basically ideas to build yourself as an authority and put yourself out there. And some of them are as simple as networking with the right kind of people, with the right kind of energy. And I've given advice, even for startups who are fundraising, looking for investors, rather than doing like the cold outreach of investor, emails and messages where, again, maybe a numbers game, but a lot of people ignore, to build relationships, even online, with those who seem to be relevant to the same values, to the same approach, to the same style. And then once building a little bit of a relationship, a little bit of rapport, then you can almost get asked to show what it is you're working on, what it is that you do, how can you help them. When you are at that point that the other person is telling you, oh, really? Tell me more about that. Show me what it is that you do. You're more than in, because you don't have to sell yourself anymore. You've built a relationship where now they want to work with you because they like you. Now the easy part starts, is just showing them what you know how to do best. And when you start with that, they close off. When you start with, I'm really good at this, let me show you how I can do all of this for you, they'll be like, that's cool. It's super direct. I don't need it. I mean, some of the connection of sex up your brand, and that's what I do with a lot of my talks. I basically compare branding to a relationship, to like a romantic relationship, and how branding is all this sort of like promises that you make to your, future partner about their future, about who they are, about what it's going to be like to be together, about what you care about, and about what this means to you. All of these are very similar. And that's why we're so offended and outraged when a brand that promised us all these values and all these things in the future kind of cheats on us. And we discover that this brand that is like all green and thinks for an environment and so on is doing greenwashing and is, you know, slaving kids somewhere. You're like, you tricked me.
That's what my son calls catfished. I've been catfished. What is catfishing?
That's a term, isn't it?
It's like, I know you're laughing, Sharon. You must know what that term means. I'm really old and I haven't dated in like 30 years. So I don't even get flirted with. You were talking about flirting earlier. I was asking, I was at a table of women down in Boise, Idaho, and I looked around and I said, okay, who gets these inappropriate pictures just sent to them? You know what I'm talking about, right? Just randomly. And everybody, including the gal that runs her church choir, gets them. I go, why haven't I got any? And they go, because everything you post is about your husband, your kids, or your grandkids. And it's like, you don't put off open vibes.
I mean, honestly, you should feel ever so lucky that you don't get these things. Sometimes it's such a weird like break to your day that you're like, what is happening to this world?
What world do I live in? Like,
I just can't even fathom being a person to send one of those pictures. So
I sometimes want to ask them back, is this ever working? Like, is this
so basically, don't treat your marketing like one of those pictures. Just don't send out inappropriate stuff to random people, hoping you'll get lucky.
Kim, you're gonna love this one. Some guy, you're gonna love it. It's hilarious. Some guy sent me a message on Facebook saying, "Do you have nudes perchance?" And I was like, "Oh, perchance. Only if I already have them. Maybe I'll share them, but don't take one for me, God heavens." Perchance. And I was like, how polite. Maybe I should be like, you know, perchance I do, and send them a picture of some naked guy that I found online.
Like, send them some horrid thing.
I would have sent him the hex codes, the color palette for nudes. Yes, I do. What do you like?
It's way too clever. There is no way they'll understand what you're doing.
You know what? Angela's known me a long time. I'm a little weird and a lot of a smart ass. So
that's the reason why you don't get these pictures, baby.
You're
who uses perchance? Like, is this a Shakespeare play?
Perchance. It's like, no, I haven't looked at myself naked in 20 years. I'll send you one for when I was like 19 and hot. Pre 10-pound babies. I know. Let's just call it what it is. I now look from, here down like the roadmap of California. So I could just send that too, right? It's like, seriously, folks, what are you asking for? But we have totally gotten off the subject here.
Yeah, that's fine.
We
can't let you leave without letting you talk about 360 startup partners.
Yes, please. I was going to say, please, can you share with us a little bit about that? Because we know that in North America, it's just approximately 5% of female founder startups get any type of traditional or JV money. 5%. Yeah, banks don't fund female startups. These are just facts. And if you're a visible
Kevin
minority,
O'Leary, the money guy, Kevin O'Leary, he talks about women founders and they do the best.
They'll do the best.
They will do the best at
bootstrapping it up.
And just managing people. Right?
So, but they don't get the traditional funding. So something like 360 is honestly critical for scalability for a lot of these female founders. So can you tell us a little bit about 360?
Sure. So I created 360 with, my co-founder, he's a fractional CFO, and he's worked with a lot of startups. So he's on the all the financial side of things. Naturally, investors, money, all makes sense. So I met with him pretty randomly online, and he started talking to me about his clients, and they're all startups and what they struggle with. And we realized we had this like magical moment where we're like, the biggest issues that all of these early stage startups deal with are all related to the finance side and all the marketing side. Because most of the time they come with a great idea. They already have maybe some team or some resources for development. So they kind of busy building and building and building. And they're so driven and excited that they feel that they'll get the funding just because they have a really good idea. The problem is that's rarely the case, because we see it all the time. Bad ideas, or maybe not so great ideas, or boring ideas can get funded really well, and amazing ideas that can change the world sometimes don't get attention at all, because what investors are really looking for is this better balance between risk and opportunity. And if you're just focused on the idea and you do not get yourself out of that risk bucket, they're not interested in you. They might say, this is a great idea. Talk to me after you have more investors. And that's how you know they might be interested, but they're not willing to risk it yet. So we created 360 so that we can offer everything an early stage startup might need to be extremely attractive to investors. And sometimes it's depending on the investor strategy and the fundraising strategy that they might need to use to get some funding and get started and get moving, and what they need to show or present or collect in order to be to show a lot of value beyond just the idea. And I can give you a great example, but last year we worked with a company that it was literally just an idea. It was before there was an MVP or anything. It was just a concept and a mission and, some examples of functionality. And they were just going for $500,000 of raise, and they raised over $1 million, because the foundation that we were able to build, whether it's demonstrating the value through our team and who's behind it, and the potential, and the gap in the market, and the possibilities for solution, or what is the competition currently doing, and why this is going to be better executed by this company rather than another company. All of these questions were answered in a way that we didn't leave any gaps. So people were eager to be a part of this, and now we're opening another round soon, and it's going really well. Because any startup with a great idea and a great team, they're always going to need money. And it takes time until a startup becomes, self-sufficient, sometimes a lot of time. And you just transition from another round to another round to another round.
Yep.
So the whole idea of 360 is to be able to fill up all these gaps that most founders just always have. And they can't keep hiring new people because they don't have the money for it.
Exactly.
We get to work with our team, and we just tell them, like, this is what we need to do. Let's get that done. Let's get this done. Let's get this done.
Well, even just for a small business startup to go to the next level of scaling, you need $100K. You need $100K to get to, just so you can bring on that one employee, you can get the next level of tech, and you can get the next round of Google ads or YouTube ads or whatever in order to feed that funnel. Like it's fascinating, because I find that a lot of people who are coming from corporate, who have never been in entrepreneurial, but they are so primed to help lead the next independent, that army, that backbone, the small, medium bit enterprise, right? They're so ready to help lead because they have certain structures that you get in corporate side that you don't get in your spare bedroom with your high school GED. The reality is there's a perfect blend here, but the mindset. So having something like 360, having your marketing team, having all these things which can bridge the language and it's understanding how you're meeting the market.
Yeah.
And that happens from all sides. I see it all the time.
And sometimes they're busy showing how they're going to acquire new clients, but they forget to attract investors just as they're attracting clients.
Yeah.
It's a different target market, therefore a different strategy and a different story, and they don't realize it. Because if your investors are not your potential target market that you're eventually going to sell to, the pitch needs to be different.
Yep.
Right.
Because you're selling now your idea, your concept, your execution. It's everything eventually is going to be about sales and how you pitch yourself or your idea and how you put yourself out there. Everything that we do. So we need to recognize what people want to hear so that they can continue listening to us.
I have a question for the both of you, actually, both Angela and Sharon. As startups start, they tend to evolve. right? You tend to shift, you tend to pivot. How frequently should a startup go back and take time to review their copy, the infrastructure? How often would you guys suggest?
Yeah,
I mean, I
startup
can tell you that
faster than anyone. Yeah. I mean, you have more experience with startups per se. I have worked with a few startups, but they are the ones that are changing constantly. They're constantly testing things out there as proof of concept, right? So they're getting feedback all the time from clients, investors. I think it's always like more than an established business. They're going to be looking at that stuff. What do you think,
so
Sharon?
initially, when it comes to, the different rounds that you're doing for, and, to get investors, I always do like a complete makeover right before we open another round, because there is
Yeah,
new information, new things
exactly.
that we're working with, new details from clients, or sometimes just, internally, we're discovering more options, more ideas, everything. So every time you kind of present yourself again in front of your new audience, which is, your potential investors, then you want to do some kind of a makeover.
Mm,
But after that, when it becomes more about your client, I think you always need to be with, kind of like with, like always checking what kind of feedback you're getting. It doesn't mean you pivot with every little feedback you get, but you need to be very mindful of the kind of information you're getting. Because if we're talking about natural attraction, for example, if I'm putting myself out there and I'm just realizing that naturally I'm attracting more women who are interested in my message rather than men, then I might want to shift my messaging and my approach so it's even more of a perfect fit with my ideal target market, which now I recognize is mostly women. So
right.
that's why I'm kind of saying a lot when it comes to, communication, right? Because a lot of people believe that branding is just, logo and colors and fonts and so on, which is really brand communication elements. So when it comes to your brand communication elements, it's not about what you like or what, I mean, we're not designing your bedroom. You're not going to just, I like pink.
Exactly.
Like, oh, I'm glad you like pink. But
Mm,
more about what naturally attracts those who are your ideal target market. So if I'm recognizing that most people who are interested in what I have to offer, they are more attracted, for example, to red because they like the confidence and being bold and
right,
awesome and sexy and fiery, then that's my color. My color
right.
is red. It's not going to be green because even though it's my favorite color, that's in my kitchen everywhere, but not in my business. So
Right.
you really need to recognize what it is, the message that you're getting from your target market, and recognize that it's your job to be a part of it.
Well, and I love the fact that you share so openly. So this is where I want to ask a little bit about why. Why are you intentionally putting information and access to information out there or support to help raise tides for others? Because we all know that when tides raise, all ships raise, right? It all comes together. So walk us through. You've got 2 books, and then you had this great little graphic that had all these awards on it. Walk us through a little bit about what you expect people to get, what your hope is that they will get from reading your books or in coming to listen to you speak.
Okay, so I'm a co-author on both these books, Empowering Women to Succeed and Mirror Mirror. So with Empowering Women to Succeed, the volume of Letting Go, I share my story that I kind of shared with you about creating Sex Up Your Brand, and how I kind of had to let go of all these walls that I built around me because of all the negative feedback I always got. And it even starts with how when I was younger, I was always encouraged to be more feminine, more sexy, more open. And then once I felt comfortable doing so, I was told, even by friends, to stop. It's too much. It's inappropriate. It's not okay. And I was so frustrated because I'm almost like, well, which way is it?
Right.
Right? Like I'm working so hard on adapting, and it seems like it's always work. So letting go was basically letting go of all these opinions and whatever people tell you you should or shouldn't be, and allow yourself to just naturally own it, and then discover that your like the people that you end up attracting, whether clients or just your natural circle, will also evolve. You'll get the right people coming to you and be around you, and you'll be even more empowered. And the reason it's so important to me to share that story is because there is not one person, especially women that I meet, that feel like they can just be who they want to be. We all carry a sack load of nonsense we heard from other people about what we should or shouldn't be. And it's very hard to let go of it. So that's my story out there. I thought it was really important. It's honestly quite funny and encouraging and inspirational, because I kind of rather you get that message that way. And to be honest with you, some empowerment stories can be very heavy. And, a lot of like, I almost died, but I lived. And I'm like,
right.
We can do it differently. The other book, Mirror, Mirror, it's more about, well, again, something a lot of women can really understand. It's kind of like how we see ourselves and our image, and how much more powerful we can be when we kind of accept our own, our own image, whether, the way that we look or the way we put ourselves out there. And there I shared one interesting moment in my life, because I always struggled with, even though I appear very confident, I always struggled with feeling, confident about the way I look, because you always hear something about it from somebody, and it's hard to let these things go. You just hear it. And about 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. And when I was diagnosed with cancer, I had this moment that I spent with some people who told me, they were very like spiritual. They told me, if you really want to heal, you have to tell your body that you love it every day and you're proud of it. And it made me cry, because it's not that I truly believe that it was true. It's more that if there was a slight chance that that is that powerful, then I just imagine how many times I did the exact opposite. How many times I passed by the mirror and I said, I hate this and I hate this, and this is horrible and this is horrible, and I hate my whatever. How many times I said to myself, to my body, how much I disapprove of its being. And I wrote this because when I had to go through all my treatments, I lost a lot of what made me feminine. And it did not make me lose who I was. And my energy and my spunk and my jokes and my wisdom, or whatever you want to call it. I was still me, without all that, without the hair, without the eyelashes, without all that nonsense. And I think if we realize that who we are has nothing to do with the way we look, we'll be a lot more powerful. And whatever people have to say about the way we look won't even affect us, because we'll be able to appreciate who we are on many other levels. And that's the other book. So you might want to read that.
Yeah, I want to read both of those now. Thanks for sharing about your story and your cancer, and how that affected you and made you think about the things, how we view ourselves, how we talk to ourselves. I think that's so important. And our thoughts really do influence a lot of things for us. I've recently been challenged by one of my coaches to don't say anything bad about yourself or your business for 30 days. And it's really hard to do that. Because you're always evaluating as an entrepreneur. You're always evaluating everything. This went wrong. Why? And this. And then you talk badly about yourself, but stop, pump the brakes, learn your lessons, but be encouraging to yourself. We love cheering other people on, but do we always do it for ourselves? Oftentimes we don't. Right?
No,
we need to be our biggest
a lot more
cheerleaders.
forgiving with ourselves, because that's the problem. The problem is we push, and if we don't get exactly what we want, we just say something bad. That's not good. You failed. You suck. Why do you always suck? Instead of being forgiving and being like, okay, you tried. You can try it again. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like you would do if you were your own child. You would be like, good job. Let's try this again.
Right. And this is, this theme came up on our last podcast too. So it's something that's super important to be encouraging to yourself, right? You'll only get more of what you think about anyway. So.
And just to add to that, you also asked about my speaking. I will also say that if you don't want to read the books, you can also see me on stage. I share a lot of these thoughts and more. And I speak in a lot of different places. I actually just came back from Switzerland doing a lecture there. It was amazing.
Wow.
No, not just the lecture. Obviously, naturally, the lecture was amazing. But I meant Switzerland specifically was amazing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've never been there. That sounds amazing. We'll close off with this. What's the best advice you've received that really helped you go the distance, that helped you, take that big step, make that, big, fat, hairy decision to reach that goal? What's that advice you got that was...
So just to close this beautifully from the beginning, I'd say own it. Whoever you are, whatever you want to do, just own it and don't care about those who have something to say about it. They're not relevant.
Awesome. I love it. Well, Kim,
So
do you have more questions for...
No, if you're listening in, you can find sexupyourbrand.com, and Sharon's a rock star over there. There's so much going on. Absolute wealth of knowledge. You can find her on LinkedIn. She's also on Instagram, Sex Up Your Brand, and TikTok. I'm gonna have to go check out your TikTok. I'm not a real great TikToker. I actually am not a TikToker. I've been told I need to be there. I do peruse all the dancing. Do you dance? Please tell me you dance. Do you ever dance in your videos? 'Cause I watch all the dancing videos. I'm the old lady watching all the dancing videos. All the
Usually when I'm
20-year-olds.
having fun dancing, I'm not setting up the phone. Just letting you know. I just go for it.
She dances like no one's watching because no one is watching.
There you go. Well,
Right.
you know what an amazing conversation. We appreciate your time, because we know that time is incredibly valuable. It's our most valuable commodity. It's our most valuable resource, and we do appreciate it. Angela, do you feel that your cup is full?
I do. Just own it, everyone, right? And be that encourager for people. Like, think about, what I've taken from this conversation as well is think about what you're putting into people when they share something with you, right? Don't be so quick to be poo-pooing their idea, right? Be that encourager, fill their cup. And you'll only attract more of that in your life if you do that. So be an encourager, own what you're doing, lean into it. Don't be afraid to be all out. At the end of the day, I think you're gonna regret it if you don't, if you lived your whole life being this, false version of yourself. So just own it.
Thank you,
for
Sharon.
inviting me. It was awesome. Such a pleasure.
You are a rock star. Thank you, Sharon. And until next week, Angela, everybody, you know what? As they're saying, we believe in you. So go to the mirror and say, God, I'm awesome. I'm so awesome.